personally, and I'm telling you right now, it's insulting, and you'd all need to stop because it's doing nothing to help people who are supporting Trump to say, you know what, you're right. I'm such an idiot. I need to educate myself.
That's the thing. You as a Cruz supporter, by saying that
it's insulting.
Everyone, you're telling everybody, see, we know better and you don't know. And that sounds like a liberal to me if you ask.
It's insulting. You need if you truly believe that it's because of a lack of understanding of conservatism or constitutionalism, then you need to be very specific on what is happening that is unconstitutional or what is happening. And you need to say, guys, I think that this position or this rhetoric or whatever is unconstitutional. And sometimes they do. But here's what they don't understand, too. Like, I'll give you – there's a bunch of examples. One of which is Donald Trump coming out and saying, I support a ban on assault weapons, which is clearly a violation of the Second Amendment.
Correct.
But there's a reason why Trump supporters, if that is what he said, I gotta hear the exact soundbite. This is what they're telling me.
This is from way back in the day.
Or it could – let's say it – I'll give them everything. Let's say it was yesterday, which it could have been. I don't know. I have to hear a soundbite. Let's say it happened yesterday that he said, yeah, I support the ban on assault weapons. Donald Trump is not running for legislature. He is not running to be a lawmaker. And his ability to influence lawmakers, we know from history, is very limited. In fact, the only thing he can do, if the legislative branch, which is Congress, comes out with a law saying that we're reaffirming or knocking down all laws that violate the exact wording of the Second Amendment, the best Trump could do as president is veto it.
Right.
All right. That's the only thing he can do. He can say, I support a ban on assault weapons. But if Congress doesn't want a ban on assault weapons, they would write a law or knock down laws that ban assault weapons. All right, it's not up to Trump. We do not live in a monarchy or a dictatorship. For you to sit there and say that we shouldn't support Trump because he supports a ban on assault weapons tells me that you believe that we live in a dictatorship.
Correct.
So if you really are worried about laws that are out there, you need to make sure that you're electing the proper congressman. Okay? And you need, and you know, now some people would say, well, he may, maybe he'll put somebody into the Supreme Court that supports a assault ban weapon. I mean, that's an argument. That's a legitimate argument.
Okay, here's how this went down. Back in 2000, he published a book called The America We Deserve.
Okay.
Trump did. And in his book, he wrote, it's often argued that American murder rate is high because the guns are more available here than in other countries. Democrats want to confiscate all guns, which is a dumb idea because only the law-abiding citizens would turn in their guns and the bad guys would be the only ones left with arms. The Republicans walk the NRA line and refuse even limited restrictions. This is back in 2000. And he said, I generally oppose gun control, but I support the ban on assault weapons, and I support a slightly longer waiting period to purchase a gun. With today's internet technology, we should be able to tell within 72 hours if a potential gun owner has a record. That was written in his book. He needs to define, and this is 2016 years ago.
It's a long time ago.
And
well, I was a total bleeding heart liberal 16 years ago.
And define what you mean by assault weapons. Is it the traditional AK-47, M16? You know, the M16s.
M16.
Is it those traditional weapons, the AR-15s? Is that what he's calling assault? Because technically, my fist, if they meet your face, are assault fists.
What's an assault weapon?
Yeah, my fist is now an assault weapon.
Because it assaulted you. And you used it as a weapon.
gun, your car could be used as an assault weapon.
Yeah, I mean, if we're just talking about words here, let's use the meaning. Let's be literal here.
So
you want to talk about literal meaning in the Constitution, which I support. I'm totally for being a literalist. That's why I actually support, or I oppose assault weapon bans. But are people allowed to bear? You're allowed to bear arms. Should not be infringed. Are you allowed to walk around with a hand grenade?
Right, we talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, what if the pin comes out? Well, that's just an accident.
Okay,
but we can't infringe his right to carry around a live grenade.
Right. So this,
right?
Obviously. So this article from the Incept, that's what it's called, the Incept.com. This article actually does throw in shed a little light on Trump and says his new plan, and they're trying to make fun of him for it, his new plan calls for a national right to conceal and carry, which means his plan now is if you have a handgun, the Constitution is your concealed permit.
He says that?
Trump does. In his
then they don't have updated information. And I think that there's a lot of Cruz supporters out there that like to cherry pick opinions that Donald Trump had in the past that are now outdated in order to try to assault him with it.
And he even says now, Trump says now in interviews, and folks, he's not been running for political positions his entire life. That's not what he does. That's not what he's been doing. Cruz knew early on. Hillary knew early on.
Lifelong.
These are lifers that know that this is their life. So in order for them to lay each brick of the path, they know they have to be careful every single bit of the way and flipping and flopping. So Trump has even said, hey, I didn't think I was going to run for president back 20 years ago, 25 years ago. I was just making money, having fun, hanging out clothesline and what's his face in the WWF?
Vince McMahon?
Vince McMahon in the WWF.
Right.
And then he slapped a guy in the WWF. If you follow us on Facebook.
Oh, that was the funniest meme ever.
Somebody took the meme, made it a meme, Trump slapping that WWF guy, but they used Cruz's face. And it was like still shots of his face with his mouth open.
It was a great meme. That's hilarious. So let's talk about background checks for a second. The Cruz people are saying, that's unconstitutional. Should never have it. There are literally Cruz people that are saying that any and all background checks should be completely abolished because on the grounds that it's unconstitutional. And, if you want to take the Second Amendment literally, seems like an infringement on the right to bear arms. So I'm not going to sit there and argue against that. And if you want to say that there's something wrong with Trump for being for background checks, let me play devil's advocate on behalf of Donald Trump for a second. I personally believe that the Bill of Rights or the Constitution in general apply to American citizens. So if a foreigner wants to come to America just for a vacation,
cannot buy a gun.
Well, how would you know? If you walk into an American gun store and everybody knows that any kind of a background check is unconstitutional, if a foreigner walks into the gun shop, how would you know or even be able to find out that he would not apply to the Second Amendment because he's foreign without doing some sort of a background check?
And if you ask him for identification to buy this gun,
that's a background check.
That's a background check. I'm just I just want to reiterate, want to let you folks know that a background check doesn't necessarily mean you're going through the government.
Yeah, any kind of a check to see if you're allowed to have this weapon.
Bring me in your utility bills to show me that you live at that house.
Background check.
Yes.
So you're telling me that if you really don't, you got to do, what do we call these? A check,
soft.
No, I'll think of it in a second. But if you're going to sit here and tell me that you are for the literal words of background check being unconstitutional, then you are okay with illegal immigrants or illegal visitors from other countries who might be coming over from Syria or whatever,
right,
to just be able to get whatever weapons they want, any weapons, including hand grenades, because we're going by the literal definition, maybe a tank or whatever, and purchasing this, and it being totally legal because of the Second Amendment. And I would argue, playing devil's advocate, that, hey, this Bill of Rights is for American citizens.
So prove that you're an American citizen.
That's just my opinion. There are constitutionalists out there that say not only does it apply to every single person who steps foot on U.S. soil,
right,
but it also applies to everybody in the world. And I'll tell you why, because our ideals are to spread freedom and democracy worldwide, so these should apply to anybody we encounter.
Negative, Ghost Rider. Pattern is full. So sorry, because they wanted to bring the prisoners who used to be at Gitmo, no longer there. They're back in their home country causing terror. They wanted to bring them on American soil and have them tried in American courts under American law, and the Constitution applied to them.
Which, by the way, they're
prisoners of war.
Right, and that's all covered in the Uniform Code of Military Justice and all that kind of stuff. So there's nothing illegal. Yeah, there's nothing illegal about preventing them from getting a fair trial, because when you're at war, there's all these new rules that apply.
But our laws in America, the rules and the freedoms that apply to me as an American citizen do not apply to the prisoner of war that we captured during wartime.
Oh, absolutely not. Right. You're 100% right.
The Democrats are saying they should.
Well, yeah, they're not. Well, first of all, they're ignoring the existing law, because when we're at war, these things are allowed to be done. You're allowed to.
That's why the president needs to get Congress to allow him permission to go to war.
Yeah, like at war. I'll give you a really quick, simple example.
Except Libya.
Okay. A really quick, simple example is if we're at war with a country and we capture somebody, they don't have the right to a speedy trial. They're just a POW. They're a POW, and they can remain a POW until the war's over.
That's why Democrats scream, close Gitmo, because it's a torture chamber, because nobody's allowed to leave, ever. They're indefinitely there.
They're a POW.
And we are at war with ISIS and Islamic terror.
Right. So that whole... The assault weapons ban, background check, I mean, we don't have to be blatantly wiping our butt with the Constitution in order to support Trump.
No, just got to have common sense.
Yeah, and I don't have a problem with him being wrong constitutionally on minor things such as, well, I think you should get a background check, or I support assault weapons ban, which I oppose that idea. But Trump has no power.
It'll never happen.
If he becomes the president, he doesn't have the power to do that.
Well, look at Obama. For 8 years, he's been trying to wield his undesignated power, the stolen power that he stole.
Executive orders, yeah.
Yeah, with that, and he's got the Congress, the House and the Senate just cowering in a corner from him, and he still can't shut it down.
So do you want to go to abortion, or do you want to go to the bathroom thing with regards to...
Oh, wow! I want to go to the bathroom
Let's go to the bathroom. See, this is where you need the soundbite of the flushing toilet and whatever. Oh, I don't want to get too graphic on this show.
Who does number 2 work for?
I walked into a bathroom the other day.
You give him hell in there, buddy. Give him hell. That was Tom Arnold.
Oh, yeah. No, I walked into a bathroom at like a Kroger's, and when I walked in, it appeared and sounded like I was the only one in this fairly large bathroom. And so I start, just doing my thing, and all of a sudden, echoing off the walls, somebody was clearly having a little bit of a gastrointestinal issue. Yeah. So
who does number 2 work for? Who does number 2 work for?
That's right, buddy. You show that turd who's boss.
Oh, come on. There we go.
Okay. I remember that. So, nice segue.